Back to breaking news that we had talked about just a little bit earlier. Certainly sad news to report. A helicopter down in Montgomery County. Preliminary reports suggest that it may be HD-13, SkyEye-13.
Yeah, Alona Carson is joining us once again from the newsroom with hopefully more information on this developing story. Alona, what can you tell us now?
Sharon and Art, we continue to watch the latest pictures come into our newsroom, coming to us live from KRIV's helicopter, and they have been willing to let us use the pictures at will. So we have been watching those live pictures come in. EMS crews are on the scene. This is happening in Montgomery County, and you can see that there is still some white smoke there in the area. And this was from just a little while earlier, and quite a bit of flames there on the ground. The preliminary reports from the EMS crews on the scene is that there were no survivors in this helicopter crash, and we can certainly see that would be, what the pictures indicate as well. You can also see that there's quite a few crews there on the scene. They were able to make it to this rather remote area, and we can see that there's a road not too far from where the actual crash happened. But again, as Art just mentioned, preliminary reports also indicating that this was SkyEyeHD, that is Eyewitness News' helicopter. We are not releasing any names at this point, but we can tell you that on SkyEyeHD this morning, we had a pilot and a photographer on board our chopper headed to a shooting scene in Montgomery County. This crash happening about 5 miles from that scene in a very heavily wooded area. These are the live pictures now that we are going to, and you can see that the signal's breaking up a little bit there as we look at this, but the flames and the smoke are now out. EMS crews still there on the scene, and again, their preliminary reports to us, though this has not been confirmed, is that there were no survivors there. Again, we mentioned earlier the inability of a helicopter to glide, the ability of them to auto-rotate in some situations, but very difficult if you're having mechanical problems to do much about it. Art had asked earlier if we have any information about why this happened, and this is always a very long process to figure out why an aircraft will crash. Between eyewitnesses and any other survivor accounts, we can get some sort of a picture of what happened, but until we get actual data from different authorities and also from any black box that was on that aircraft, difficult to know. One thing that we can say is that it does not appear that weather was any sort of a factor in this crash of a helicopter, because as you can see, it's a pretty clear day out there. Not sure how high the helicopter was flying at the time, but as they get closer to a scene, they'll certainly come down in altitude so that they can get pictures of it. Again, SkyEyeHD this morning had one pilot and one photographer on board our helicopter, and preliminary reports are indicating that it was our helicopter, and we're just going to continue to follow these live pictures as they come in. We have a backup helicopter on the way, the Metro Chopper. Our backup helicopters on the way there, as well as ground crews, and again, information coming out of the scene as investigators there arrive to start inspecting the actual crash scene. Art and Sean, we're going to go back to you in the studio.
Alona, quick question for you. Do we have any idea what time we initially got the first call that a chopper had gone down, and between that time, how much longer it took for EMS officials to get to that scene?
You know, I can't tell you when the officials got that call. Usually the first sign that there has been some sort of an aviation accident, and unfortunately it does look like we're looking at some writing there on the helicopter as well, but one pilot and one photographer have been confirmed dead. We are not releasing any names until the next of kin are notified in this case. So out of respect for those families, we're not releasing any information. But Sharon, again, those calls obviously first go in to the authorities. A lot of times the first indication that we have that there has been an aviation accident is that an aircraft drops off of radar. Whether or not there was a call, any sort of an emergency call or mayday call made, at this point we do not know. We'll be getting a lot of that information as the day progresses. But obviously a catastrophic situation that we are looking at here. I can tell you I was walking through the newsroom at 11:15 when we first got word that this was possibly a crash that was going to be affecting us here in the newsroom, because we heard over the scanners that a helicopter had crashed. Immediately, we had lost our signal, which is the live picture that we have coming from our helicopter. We had lost our live signal, and we weren't able to get in touch with our crews at that point. So we obviously started making the phone calls. This is video from earlier again today, and this is basically as soon as the Fox helicopter was able to start feeding us pictures. We made the phone call to them to try to link up and get some of their pictures, and they started feeding them over to us immediately. So these are some of the first pictures that we got from the Fox helicopter.
Alona, earlier you had said preliminary reports, and then only a couple of minutes ago you said that there are confirmed reports now of a photographer and a pilot who died in this crash, and of course no survivors from this crash. So it is now confirmed that a pilot and a photographer died in this crash, but it has not yet been confirmed that it's SkyEye, although it appears to be because of that clear insignia from the debris.
Yes. Again, yes, just exactly as you said, one confirmed death of a pilot, one confirmed death of a photographer. What we're doing right now, Art, is using an abundance of caution with this situation.
Sure.
And certainly as long as there's next of kin involved. And, we should mention that our photographer and our pilot did not actually work for KTRK. They worked for a helicopter company and also for Metro. That the helicopter company is Heli Inc. that pilot worked for, that our pilot works for. So there's a lot of different institutions that would be involved here if that is in fact our helicopter. But as we can certainly say from even looking at the pictures, but also from the crews there on the ground, preliminary reports are that it is our helicopter.
Okay.
Sad report that you have brought to us, Alona. But as we continue to watch this, certainly, our hearts go out to those families in whom lost loved ones here, because we do have confirmed reports of 2 deaths from this helicopter crash in Montgomery County, rural area. What is the nearest neighborhood to this area? I noticed a wider shot, Alona, in which indicated there was a neighborhood not too far, maybe a couple of 100 yards from this area.
If you look at the map, Art, what we're seeing, it looks to me like this actual crash happened in a state forest, which is, according to our map, the W.G. Jones State Forest. Now, whether it's actually in the bounds of the state forest, I really can't tell you because it is a pretty remote area. But this is happening near Jones Road and near Peoples Road. And again, that in Montgomery County. So if you're familiar with that area, that may ring some bells. I don't know the names of the subdivisions in that immediate area. But yeah, and you can also see some roads where those EMS crews were able to get relatively close. And as far as the first pictures that came into our newsroom that we were watching live, we already saw EMS crews there on the scene. So we don't believe it took them a really long time to get there to the scene.
But still, just a heartbreaking situation, as Art had mentioned, just to see this, even if it's from another chopper, just the possibility of, the loss of life, which we know has been confirmed. 2 people have died in this. So.
We will be following this, and we will be back with much more in just a moment.